Steve here. Welcome to part 2 of building the Finney. I'm building the Finney7 A4 kit, but in particular I've started with the 1928 corridor tender. So what I've got a few parts here. I'm going to discard these ones. These ones here. These are the wider space. That's the really wide spacer. I don't want to use that one, and that's a really narrow spacer, and I don't want to use that one. So I've picked the middle of the road ones. And what I've got the compensation beams out so far. They're cut out, and I've prepped the frames. I've soldered I've cut them out the frets. I've opened up holes as it tells me to do in the instructions. Like that's a 1/8 hole. That's for the compensation shafts to go through. I've opened up all the brake hanger holes and stuff like that, and holes in this middle spacer. I've opened the 2 holes up there and there, and also these ones for a bracket. The next thing I'm going to do is these bend over, solder in place, and the wheels are held captive. These bend over the top of it, you'll see soon. So I've started to put the bend in. I'm going to bend all these up and solder it. So that's one of the frames that's got to be cleaned up yet. I've bent them up, those over. What I've done is I've put loads of flux on it, solder, and it just draws it in. I've gone along the edges, so that's all to be filed up. But what I want to do is, because it's phosphoric acid, I want to get that off. Now you could put it in water. You can actually buy stuff like, what do they call it? Flux neutralizers or some crap like that. Well, you know, acid is acid and alkaline is alkaline. And baking soda or bicarbonate of soda is an alkaline. So I've got a little container here full of that stuff. I haven't rinsed this yet. Oh, look at that. Fizzy bits coming off. So that's got to be the alkaline reacting with the acid. So I'll leave it in there for a little while, and that neutralises it. And it's certainly cheaper than buying piddly little bottles of stuff, which cost a king's ransom. I'd rather spend the money on single malt scotch. Well, I'm back in the morning. Last night I soldered. Oh, let's get my hand out of the way. I soldered the middle spacer in. Let's have about a few goes at it, because when I soldered it in, this is all going to be cleaned up because I hate mess. I don't know, sounds crazy, but I always like to think as I'm doing it, it looks like a showpiece. But anyway, I soldered it up. What I use, I've got this. This is a piece of fireglass. You actually stick this in the gas ring, and it won't crack or anything. So I had a couple of goes at it last night. I put it in, and then it was sort of rocking. So I thought, no, that's not good enough. I've got to get it right. So I've got this right now. I've folded the little tabs over. These fold over, like you would have seen it in the previous part of the video. These fold down, they're soldered in place, and then there's little tabs which stick out at the sides, half-etched, and they fold over. Well, a fair few of those, as I was filing, you've got to file out the slots for the axles. These aren't 3/16, these are 5/32 axles. They're made for Finney kits. And so these fit in there. There's no bearings as such, except for those. And there's compensation beams go on top. But at the moment, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put the other spacers in. I haven't bent them up yet. There's 2 more spacers. A front, that one's a front, which goes there, and a rear. So I'm going to solder this spacer. I'm just going to, what's the word? Put a bit of solder in there. So, a bit of flux. This is homemade flux. I use a product called, it's not that, that's priming fluid, which is actually MEK, plumber's priming fluid. So I use that for gluing actually. But I use a stuff here. It's called, I don't know if you can see it. You get this from a hardware store. It's called Bondel Rain-X Rust Buster. It's basically phosphoric acid. So I'm not going to buy a little I don't know if you can see that. I'm not going to buy little bottles of cars or stupid stuff like that. When I can buy this, wet it down. In fact, you can use Coca-Cola, so I've been told. And I'm using my mother, the big iron. Call it mother. M-U-V-V-E-R, mother. So sold back. Don't want to burn the old pinkies. This is a 60 watt and this is just electrical solder. Partly because I haven't got 188 or 145 at the moment, but why not? It works. Get in and out quick. So what I do, I've got a piece of wood here, you can see it, and I've got a little bit of solder. Let's hope my hand's not in the way. Oh blimey. Oh blimey, as Mr. Seaver the Subramanian says, oh blimey. So I push that against there. I just want to make sure this is nice and square, and I do this so that I don't go, bloody hell, my fingers are burning. So a bit of that, bring it up mother. I just tap this. Oh. Look at that. How's that? That looks all right. As I said, big iron. Right, you can get in and out. This stuff, there's so much heat in it, it melts quick. So I've just put some fluid on it. Look at that. Oh. Put that down. Yeah, what I'll do, I've done all of it, done inside. Might put some there, and then just go underneath, see if I can draw it back. So you see that? It's run through. Is old Steve, can he do it right-handed? That's the question, isn't it? Is he alright at this? Is this all going to fall apart on him? There you go. That's quite nice. So what do you think about it, Ruby? Hey, my chassis? So there it is. Oh, I hope it's in focus. Sometimes, I don't know. Oh, it's gone out of focus. So I've put the 3 spacers in. The next thing to do is to put in there's some 1/8 rod with a sleeve goes over it. The compensation beams go in and they bear down on the wheels. So that's the next job. But what I'm going to do now, I'm going to have a cup of, I think I'll have a cup of tea. I do need one. So, one chassis. Oh, look at that. Fizz, fizz, fizz. That's my neutralising solution. As I told you, you get it anywhere. Bicarbonate of soda, because it's an alkaline, neutralises the flux. Put it this way, I'm not going to buy silly piddly bottles of, I don't know how much they are. You know, the little solutions you can get as if it's special. Listen, you got that sort of money, go and see Siva Subramaniam's brother. He runs a what do I call it? An off license. Do you very good bottle of single malt scotch, my friend. Oh, I don't know. Yeah, so I'll rinse this off in a minute, have a cup of tea, and get back to the compensation beams. Okay, here's one of the compensation beams made up. This one, you solder two of it. There's four of these beams. So there's two there, they've been soldered together. I just clamped them together or held them in a pair of pliers, fluxed it up and run solder around the outside, then cleaned it up. But note how they're symmetrical from side to side, but not from up and down. Notice how there's a round corner on one side and flat on the other. So you've got to put these in right. The instructions say that. These are soldered to this tube. I think it's 5/32 tube. And then a 1/8 rod goes through, which is soldered to the frames. This is going in the front two axles. These are the rear two, but what you do on this one is you split this tube and you put one each side close to the frames so that it's like independent of each other, so they can both move independently up and down. What I'm going to do is, when I put this in, I'll put some tissue paper between the frames and there, maybe put a bit of oil on it, solder it up, and that way I'm guaranteed that no solder gets in and gums up. It makes this go rock solid. So here's my here's the chassis, ready for wheeling up. I'll do that a bit later. I think I'll take the dog out first for a walk. I need to get out. And this workbench is a mess because I've been working on it a few days. So what I've got is your three spacers in. That's the front, and it's got one rocking beam. And the axles fit in like a seesaw. There'll be one there and one there, and they'll move up and down. Plus they can move a bit side to side. The rear one has these are soldered together. The compensation beams, there's two there. There's like a sandwich, so I just put those together. Flux, solder, went round, tied it all up, and then I soldered it as far as I can get dead in the middle, dead square in this. I think it's a 5/32 tube and a 1/8 rod goes in the middle, brass rod. On the rear axles, there are two of these beams. So it's the same principle, only you split the tube. You split the tube, and so you can see the two beams work independently of one another. So it's a bit like a car, I suppose. Both wheels will rock up and down, but the other thing is they can move side to side independently of each other. That's a theory anyway. What's the time? 2:30. Oh, love that clock. Oh. Ruby, we're going to go for a walk? Yes. Right. Anyway, so that's it. I'll be back. And I'll wheel it up, put it on a bit of track, and that'll be the end of this part, because then I just got to do the brakes. I just want to get this whole thing finished and painted so I can move on. Anyway. Ruby, you good dog? Hey, Ruby, want to go walk? Walk? Where now? Want to go walk? I think she wants to go walk. So here I are, look, see, I told you, it's a mess. But anyway, I'm going to clean it up, put everything back, wash this down, and because I mean, it looks fantastic, doesn't it? You think, God, look at this bloke, looks like he knows what he's doing. And in some ways I do, but in other ways I think, you know, Cleanliness is next to steamliness. Ruby, you want to go walk? Walk? Now? All right, shut your cake. Oh, we're going. Look at that tail. Well, I went for a walk. The clock is about to strike 4:30. I'm going to have a cup of tea. So, I've put the wheels on. These are disc wheels. These aren't my normal 3/16 Slater's ones. These are made specially for Martin Finney, or now Finney7. They're 5/32 axles, whereas 3/16 is 6/32. Why they're made a bit smaller, I don't know. Apparently that's the right size, but oh, that clock. I hope you love it as much as me. So anyway, so there it is. So that's basically it. I've got to put the brakes on now. So I want to be able to get all this finished and painted, so I don't have to revisit it. The instructions say before you go on to start building the frames, the outside frames for clearances. As far as I'm concerned, if that's what the instruction says, that's what I'm going to do. So these are push fit. Never used these before. They're not like they haven't got the squared axle ends and screws. Some of them are a bit loose. I've never used them before, so I don't know whether you're supposed to put something on not to sort of glue it tight. But yeah, but not something to glue it tight, but just to make it a firm fit. Like as if it was some sort of metal and a bit of something tight plastic, which it's not. As you can see, that's one thing, because this is compensated, you can see there's a centre beam and two beams, rocking beams each side, and they're independent because of that split. I think you can just see it there. That tubing right there is split. So those two sides can rock up and down. What I did is I put a file on it. I press down in the middle and you can see what happens. I'll do it slowly. See, they go up independent. Oh, let's move it down there. Sorry, that's a bit better. That's fair. That's, I mean, I've got to. So that's pretty good. As you can see, this is where they bear down on the middle. So that moves up and down. These two, there's two beams. That's it for part 2. I'll come back and do the brakes. I've had enough of this one. Well, not enough. I think I'll just leave it there. As I said, check the my description. I put the Finney7 website if you're interested. There's a link to a playlist, or you can either do that or go to my home channel and you'll see playlists. And there's one marked Finney A4, and I'll put all these videos in there. So as I do them, they'll all go in there. Anyway, thanks for watching. Leave some comments if you've got any ideas, especially about these wheels. I'm not too certain if I should put some sort, not adhesive, or something. Maybe some, I think there's different types of Loctite. Not what bung it all up, but there's one that sort of makes it just grip a bit. Maybe that's it. And that's all right, it's not even had any oil on it. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'll be back with part 3. Please subscribe and hit the bell icon if you want updates. I'd appreciate that. Thank you very much.